Now I am going to give you an overview of cell structure so that you have an image in your mind what we are going to study after this in detail. You know, the living organisms, they are made up of this single basic structural unit, that is the cells which are capable of independent existence. Three things are common in each and every type of cell. What is that? It is number one, cell membrane, which separates the cell from its surroundings. Then we have the cytoplasm, where we have all the organelles that are there, and then we have the DNA, which is the genetic material of the cells. These three things are common in all types of cells. Then we have two types of cells. We have a eukaryotic cell and a prokaryotic cell. In case of eukaryotic cell, we have membrane bound organelles and we have well organized nucleus, right? But this eukaryotic cells, these are found in higher advanced organisms like plants and animals. So these are the cells which are there in advanced organisms. Then we have a prokaryotic cell. This prokaryotic cell does not have a well organized nucleus, and you can say the genetic material is not within the nucleus, it is lying somewhere in the cytoplasm. And these prokaryotic cells, they are generally found, they are generally there in case of bacteria, right, the primitive organisms. What are organelles then? What we are going to discuss? Organelles are the little organs that perform different jobs. And these jobs are very important when we talk about the structure and function of a cell. First of all, let's talk about the main organelle, that is the nucleus. This nucleus contains DNA, which is the genetic material, and this DNA is going to transmit that hereditary information from one generation to the next generation, and it is there in this form, that is chromatin. And when you see this nucleus, we have a nuclear membrane which surrounds this nucleus, and during cell division this chromatin is going to organize itself in the form of these structures that we call as chromosomes. And we also have a nucleolus within the nucleus. This nucleolus main function is going to secrete what? Ribosomes. It is going to synthesize ribosomes, which are going to synthesize proteins further. Then these ribosomes, they are going to synthesize proteins, and we have with the nucleus endoplasmic reticulum that we abbreviate as ER, right? And these ribosomes can occur freely in the cytoplasm also, and they can be attached to the ER, that is the endoplasmic reticulum. So in this way we have two types of endoplasmic reticulum, that is a smooth endoplasmic reticulum and a rough endoplasmic reticulum, right? So this is how you see the RER, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Why? Because here we can see the ribosomes that are attached, and then we have SER where there are no ribosomes attached. Now these ribosomes, they are going to form what? Proteins, right? And these proteins, they are going to go out from this ER in the form of these vesicles, right? In the form of these vesicles, as you can see. Then from the Golgi bodies, from the Golgi apparatus, what is going to happen? These proteins that were released, they are going to be folded in such a way that they can form the structures that are really needed. And here in the Golgi apparatus only, these proteins, they are folded and associated with other molecules such as lipids, such as carbohydrates. So as you can see how protein folding is there, how these are associated with lipids, how they are associated with carbohydrates also. So this is how the arrangement, the folding of proteins is there. Then there are vacuoles in the plant cells which are quite big, you can see in the center, right? So these vacuoles contain water, the central vacuole in case of plant cells, but in animal cells we don't have such vacuoles. Then after vacuoles, if you come back to animal cells, in animal cells we have these structures that we call as lysosomes. They are going to digest the cell debris that are not required. So when the cell debris go inside them, in the lysosomes we have certain enzymes that are going to disintegrate the cell debris. So they are going to cleanse the cell. Then we have a mitochondrion, which we call as a powerhouse of the cell because it helps in the ATP synthesis. ATP synthesis is what? ATP is the energy currency of the cell. So that is why we call mitochondrion as a center of cellular respiration, because it secretes ATP, which is the energy currency of the cell. So this is also a membrane bound organelle that is found in a eukaryotic cell. So the shape of the cell, it is maintained by the cytoskeleton that is there. So in cytoskeleton we have the structures that we call as microfilaments that are formed of proteins, and we also have microtubules. So these form the cytoskeleton which maintain the shape of the cell. In case of plants, when you see the green color of the plants, then we have a special organelle that is there in case of plants, that is the chloroplast. So inside the plant cells, we have a structure, we have an organelle, that is chloroplast, which contains a pigment, that is chlorophyll, because of which the plants appear green, because of which the plants are able to trap sunlight and perform the process of photosynthesis, right. So this is also one of the important organelles that is there in case of plant cells only, and the plant cells have a cell wall, but animal cells do not have such cell wall. So you can make out the differences that are there in plant cells and animal cells also. There are other unique structures that are there in case of us. For example, if you talk about the cells that are there in your respiratory tract, then here in these cells we have special feature, that is this cilia. This hair-like structures which help in cleansing, right. So they also have a special feature, they have a special job, they have a special role to play. So this is how cells have unique features that we will be discussing. In case of bacteria, for example, we have flagella, right. In this flagella helps in locomotion in case of bacteria, right. So as we have seen cilia, then in case of sperm cells also we have flagella, right, which helps again in locomotion, in the movement. So these are the unique features. Now let's summarize what we have read. Eukaryotic cells, these are the plant and animal cells with a nucleus and a membrane enclosed organelles, right. So in eukaryotic cells we have a well organized nucleus and well organized organelles that have membranes, but these are not in case of prokaryotic cells. In case of prokaryotic cells, unicellular organisms are there without a nucleus or membrane enclosed organelles, and all cells have a cell membrane, cytoplasm and the genetic material in the form of DNA, and both plant and animal cells, they have mitochondria. So I have just given this overview so that you just make up your mind, so that you will study all these structures, all these organelles and prokaryotic cells, eukaryotic cells, plant cells, animal cells in detail. We will discuss all the organelles ultrastructure, we will discuss the functions of the organelles in greater detail. Just try to understand this right now, that we have two types of cells, we have prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells are the ones which do not have a well organized nucleus and do not have membrane bound organelles such as endoplasmic reticulum, such as mitochondria, such as Golgi apparatus. But eukaryotic cells have a well organized nucleus and they have well organized membrane enclosed organelles like Golgi apparatus, like mitochondria. But if we talk about the difference between plant and animal cells, we will discuss that in case of plant cells we have a big central vacuole, right, but in case of animal cells we do not have such a big central vacuole. And all the cells, they have three things in common that we discussed in the beginning of the video only, that is the cell membrane, the cytoplasm and the genetic material in the form of DNA. And we have seen that both plants and animal cells, they have what? They have mitochondria.